Hey, what's up guys? MTG Tournament Grinder here, and we are back with this week's episode of Modern, Hardened Scales versus Red-Green Goblins. So I've played Goblins on this channel extensively, or at least a little bit, but I was playing Mono Red, not Red-Green, and this is a super spicy list. So I remember, turn 1 Hardened Scales. I guess I could ask for more if I had a Mox Opal or a Welding Jar, but really that's ideal. So Skirk Prospector, I did not play that card. Sacrifice a Goblin, make 1 red mana. I can see why it would be good. It can help you really go off in the early turns. So I'm not sure what was in my hand, but I figure a Hangerback Walker by himself is a slightly better play than an Arcbound Ravager by himself. I'm just gonna assume he's gonna kill whatever I play, and if he kills an Arcbound Ravager with nothing else on the field, then I'm missing out on that value. But the Hangerback Walker, at least I will get those 2 Thopters. So interesting. No play and pass. I am wondering what he's up to. Ancient Stirrings. So playing Ancient Stirrings first is always a good idea, because you never know what you might get, what you might rather play, compared to what's in your hand. And yeah, that's an obvious choice. There's a lot of matchups with this deck, particularly the creature-based matchups, go figure, where the Walking Ballista is really important. Like whether or not I get an early Walking Ballista can decide the game for me. And this is certainly one of those matchups. Like this early Ballista is going to allow me to just kind of pick apart what he does if everything goes my way. So like next turn, if my Walking Ballista lives, play a Ravager, Arcbound Ravager if I have one, and end up with a bunch of counters on the Ballista. And I can just control the board that way. So instep, Lightning Bolt, the Hangerback Walker. Oh, I forgot to swing with the Hangerback Walker. Yikes. One can assume that he would have done that at beginning of combat, but I did legitimately forget to swing and just move to my end step. Oh well, I will not forget to swing with the Thopters next turn. So this time he's got some action. Goblin Chieftain. So while I did play that card in my deck, my version of Goblins, I often sideboarded it out. I was more of just like a straight up 8-black deck compared to like Goblin Tribal. So I'm responding with the Goblin Chieftain on the stack here. I know that Skirk Prospector kind of allows him to go off. Oh shoot, Goblin Grenade. Well, I mean, that one Walking Ballista got rid of a Skirk Prospector, a Goblin Chieftain, and a Goblin Grenade. So not a bad investment for 2 mana. It's all about the follow-up though. My plan was to play an Arcbound Ravager this turn, and end up with a shitload of counters. End up with a boatload of counters, excuse me. Oh, I drew a second Ravager. Interesting. Okay. So with Hardened Scales on the battlefield, 1, 2. I mean, I don't think I quite have lethal. So yeah, just chip damage. Get him for 2. But if I did sack my entire board, so 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I could get close now. I think if I swing. Let's see what I draw. I'm not sure. Ancient Stirrings maybe? That's always a good top deck. Oh, Ballista. Okay. Now I can remember this moment. So Lightning Bolt to Ravager. See, I've had a lot of people do this. The Lightning Bolt to Ravager while I have Hardened Scales in the battlefield. And it's just sack the Thopter, or any artifact. and now it lives. I'm wondering if the Darksteel Citadel wasn't actually a better artifact to sack there. But anyways, at this point with a Walking Ballista, I'm almost certain that I have the game. Shoot is only blocker, and I have 7 damage worth of attackers. That would take him to 9, and I could certainly end up with 9 counters on the Walking Ballista. And I think my opponent is asking me like, am I dead? Because he's only got the 1 green mana held up. So I'm explaining to him, yeah, I will do 7, and then I will end up with 9 counters on the Walking Ballista. I mean, I'm the same way when I'm playing Magic. It's like, bro, just tell me, am I dead? Like, show me the cards. Yeah. Well, that was a good game. I can't help for anything better than that, really. And a creature-based matchup to get the early Walking Ballista just makes a huge difference, so we'll have to see if I get that lucky again in Game 2. But for now, sideboarding. Well, as far as the sideboarding goes, my opponent brought in 2 copies of 10 Street Hooligan. That is 1 colorless and 1 red for a 2/1 goblin that says, if green mana was spent to cast it, when he enters the battlefield, destroy target artifact. Definitely a good include. Ideal targets in my deck would be Arcbound Ravager, Force My Hand, before it's ideal for me to sack my whole board and go for lethal, or something like that. And of course, Walking Ballista. If I have one of those on the battlefield and you're playing goblins, your number 1 priority should be getting rid of that ballista, preventing me from just controlling the board, which is what I ended up doing in Game 1. He also brought in a single copy of Goblin Trashmaster, and I actually haven't seen this card before, at least not in a modern sideboard. And my goodness, does it seem good against my deck. It is a 4 mana 3/3, so a little expensive for goblins, but because he's playing Skirk Prospector, he can really make that 4 mana quite easily. But it's a 4 mana 3/3. Other goblins you control get +1/+1, so it's a lord, and it has sacrifice a goblin, destroy target artifact. This card reminds me a little bit of Shattering Spree. As many times as you can make red mana, you can destroy that many artifacts with its replicate cost. And this is like, as many times as you can sacrifice a goblin, destroy a target artifact. So, wow. Extremely good card against me. Super cool tech. And last, but certainly not least, 3 copies of Goblin Crater Maker. Similar to Goblin Trashmaster, Goblin Crater Maker is also a new card, this time out of Guilds of Ravnica. It is a 2 mana 2/2 goblin that says, pay 1 mana and sacrifice Goblin Crater Maker and choose one. Goblin Crater Maker deals 2 damage to target creature, or destroy target colorless non-land permanent. So that's even more flexible than just artifacts. I suppose it could also be used to hit Eldrazi's like Thought-Knot Seer or Reality Smasher, but here in this matchup it's definitely designed to hit Arcbound Ravagers and the usual good cards. Now as far as what my opponent brought out to make room for those 6 cards, 3 copies of Goblin King. So this is a 3-drop lord that I think is not quite as exciting as Goblin Chieftain. Against my deck where I can be so fast, he's inclined to take out high CMC cards that are less impactful. So out come the 3 Goblin Kings, and also out come 3 copies of Goblin Pile Driver. While this is definitely a great card, I think it's just a little bit slow in this matchup, the fact that it doesn't have haste, and the odds of me just killing it with a ballista before it can even swing are just too high to make it worth playing. So I think I agree with my opponent's choices here. Now as for my sideboarding, I only brought in 2 copies of Dismember. It's typically what I bring in against creature-based decks, but this time around, also 2 copies of Nature's Claim. And I saw that I brought these in at the end of the video, and I'm trying to rationalize what I could have been thinking. The only enchantment that my Nature's Claim could possibly hit is Blood Moon, and that's not a bad play, but I think it's possible my plan was to Nature's Claim my own artifacts all along just to gain the 4 life. And I'm racking my brain to come up with why I might have done that. If you guys can think of any other reasons I may have brought this in, let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, it's totally possible that was just some bad sideboarding, but let me know what you think. And I think that about wraps it up for the sideboarding. So let's jump back into Game 2 and see how it goes. Well, alrighty, here we are back in Game 2. Having won the first game, I'm not feeling so bad about this mulligan, but mull to 6, Scry to the bottom, on the draw, not exactly ideal. But I may have dodged the bullet a little, my opponent not having a turn 1 play, is what I mean by that. And myself, actually, having a Hardened Scales and a Mox Opal, I'm technically doing better than I was in the first game. That's a better turn 1 because I have a Mox. Although Stomping Ground makes me nervous. From playing Burn, Stomping Ground makes me think of Destructive Revelry, which is artifact or enchantment, so he could blow up my Hardened Scales. Eesh, that would make me pretty sad. Copperline Gorge. 10 Straight Hooligan. So this is the card we were talking about during sideboarding. He spent green to cast it, so bye-bye Mox Opal. It's better than a Destructive Revelry. Being at 18 and losing my Hardened Scales. That would be truly bad. Well, I can only hope that he sticks. The Steel Overseer that I just played. I didn't get a good look at my hand, but I think I saw another Steel Overseer. So I just kind of have a surplus of them. Yikes, and another sideboard card. First the 10 Street Hooligan, and now the Goblin Crater Maker. Modern is a very sideboard-centric format, and oftentimes it's kind of like, may he who sees the most sideboard cards win. And in this case, my opponent is really excelling, doing a lot better than I am. Yikes. And I've been missing my land drops this whole time. My opponent has not been. If this Steel Overseer doesn't live, it's gonna be bad. Oh my goodness, Collected Company. So that explains the red-green goblins. That's where the green comes in. Goblin Chieftain, Legion Warboss. Yeah, those seem like some good picks. Legion Warboss has actually been seeing a little bit of action in Modern, which I'm pleased to see. I mean, Goblin Rabblemaster sees play, so why not Legion Warboss? Golly, this is brutal. So, because it's a Lord, if I'm doing my math correctly, that's 11 damage after the Mentor trigger. Yeah, this game is over. Like, maybe if I had an Inkmoth Nexus, I could hope to top deck an Arcbound Ravager, but even then, I don't have enough mana to do all that. Well, that was even faster than game 1. And I thought I started off to an even stronger start. But sideboard cards, man, they will mess you up. Well, I can only hope for a better time of it in game 3. But no matter who wins, I feel like a match that goes to game 3 is a great match. So, and we are back with game 3. I'm on the play, at least. That's where I'd like to be. And can't exactly see what's in my hand, but it looks kind of unexciting. It looks just like a lot of lands. Saw an Arcbound Ravager at least. Wow. Tap land and pass. I'm wondering if I may have been better off with 6. But I do see that Arcbound Ravager. There's an Inkmoth Nexus. Oh, maybe I'm coming around and thinking that this hand is keepable. Agreeing with my past self, but really, I'm kind of forcing it. This seems like a bad hand. Please, no more 10 Street Hooligans. That would be nice. Well, Mogwar Marshal. So with a Skirk Prospector, that's actually kind of scary. Yeah, so sack, make 1 mana. He also gets a dude. Right, so a little bit of shortcutting there, but sack all 3 creatures from the Mog Fanatic into a Legion Warboss. Yikes. Go to combat, swing for 1 because he has to. And while he is tapped out, he definitely has access to mana because of Skirk Prospector. Yeah, so I block, and in response, gosh, what a blowout. Sacrifice it, casting Lightning Bolt. And I currently have no targets for modular, so... Ooh, this is not a good start. So... let's see what I have planned. A potential line is to play an Archbound Ravager. But leave up mana, like don't actually use the Ruins of Oran Reef. Yeah. And that might be the line I'm pursuing. This time, if he chooses to kill my Archbound Ravager, I can at least activate the Inkmoth Nexus. And it can catch a counter. Trying to save a little bit of value in the future by missing out on value now is the gist of this play. My opponent is continuing to hit his land drops, so yikes. He's so far ahead at this point, I can only hope that my opponent stumbles or starts to draw a lot of land. So 3 mana Goblin Chieftain? Yeah, Goblin Chieftain. So good. Because now when he goes to combat, he makes his token. He's going to be swinging for a lot. So at the beginning of combat, oh, so maybe that's why I left up the land. I mean, activating the Inkmoth Nexus to catch a counter is not bad, but I think Dismember to kill a Goblin Chieftain is worth it. Certainly a better play than just having a second counter on the Archbound Ravager. But regardless, here comes that token with the Mentor trigger. Ravager is not big enough to block, and I can't activate the Inkmoth Nexus any longer, so take 4. Could I win with Infect? Possibly. I would need a green source and a Hardened Scales, I think. And even then, I don't think there's enough on board. No? Well, 2 Ravagers. We'll see how long I can survive. The welding jar might be helpful in that regard. Just do what I can not to die. Hope that there's a green source in my hand, which I don't think there is. But hope that there's one in my hand, and also hope that I top deck a Hardened Scales. Then maybe that would be awfully lucky of me. Holy moly, another Legion War Boss. Yikes, man. So the 2/1/1s have to swing. And he's just choosing to swing because it's correct, but the 2/2 with both of the 2/2s, with the Legion War Boss and the counter, the token with the counter. So this is just not good. Killing the Legion War Boss is probably ideal. Right. And I don't want to use the Welding Jar, its own ability, because that'll remove my Archbound Ravager from combat and it will end up not trading. I think what I want to do is activate Archbound Ravager's ability, sacrifice the Welding Jar, simply for the +1/+1 counter. And that way, the Legion War Boss will die. And now I have another choice. Do I let damage happen and just get the 1 counter from the Ravager? The Ravager, the one I'm holding now. Or if I activate his ability and then modular, I get like 1 more counter out of the deal. So while his token lives, I get 1 more counter. And I think if I have any chance at all of winning with Infect, it's going to be by getting as many counters, absolutely as many counters as possible. Although, right now I can only do 6 Infect, and a Hardened Scales would only make that 7, so I think I'm kind of just dead. I needed to do all that sacrificing, like with the Welding Jar and my other Archbound Ravager. That all needed to happen with a Hardened Scales on the battlefield. Oh, yikes. Yeah, that's game. Well, shucks. Can't win them all. And Goblins is a great deck. I mean, I used to play it. And even though I lost this match, I love seeing another deck kind of operate at full steam. So this was a lot of fun. Thank you guys for watching. And as usual, if you enjoy content like this, you can let me know in the comments below or by hitting that subscribe button. So until next time, I'll see you guys later.